People of the world, welcome to Send It Rising. Main story of the day inside Facebook's African sweatshop. Sweatshop, you say? That doesn't make any sense. They're a internet company. They don't have hardware. Why would they be accused of having a sweatshop? You see, it's called content moderation. There are folks in Nairobi that are being paid $1.50 to look at the absolute worst that humanity has to offer in a Time.com article. We're going to go through exactly what these folks are experiencing. You see, they always do it not through Facebook itself, but through a subsidiary to distance themselves from the atrocities. So imagine 200 young men and women from countries all over Africa sitting at desks looking at murder, rape, suicide, child sex abuse all day, every day. Why are they looking at it? Because they're being paid an incredibly low wage to do so. They are helping Sama. Okay, this is always how it goes. It's never Facebook. So I may as well say Facebook because they're working for Facebook. They're working through, I believe, a vendor for ethical AI. It's always phrased in these nice sort of George Orwellian terms where, oh, it's fine. We're working on ethical AI. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Sama says, according to the Time.com article, that its mission is to provide people in places like Nairobi with, quote, dignified digital work. This couldn't be further from the truth. I can't imagine 10 minutes of this work, let alone 10 months. And so they're trying to help poor countries give work, not aid, is the way that they like to spin it. That of course, has given Sama this sort of high contract ability to close sales, because this is what they're saying. They're saying, look, we can get dignified work to some of the world's poorest people, but of course the work itself is unethical and horrifying. One of their clients is Facebook. So I can understand when you're saying, well, it's not Facebook, they're just hiring them, but really, it's Facebook's money that we're talking about. So they're content moderators. They are the emergency first responders of social media, you could say. And you could make an argument that, well, don't ambulance workers see horrifying things? Don't police officers see horrifying things? Yes, they do. But this is a whole new, people have never seen anything quite like this in the history of all humanity. We've never had a moment where you sit and look at the worst of the worst all day, every day. This, of course, is going to lead to horrifying PTSD and other mental illness. The article continues talking about $1.50 per hour is some of the wages that some of the folks are receiving there, and the working conditions are rough. So I don't think sweatshop, digital sweatshop, information sweatshop is a good word to describe what's happening here. One of the employees is quoted as saying that the work that they do, or the work that we do here, is kind of mental torture, which it exactly is. Oof. Quote, whatever I am living on is hand to mouth. I can't save a cent. Sometimes I feel like I want to resign, but then I ask myself, what will my baby eat? Unbelievable. A number of these moderators have chosen to resign, citing mental illness and post-traumatic stress, anxiety, etc. They're saying now they're letting content moderators take wellness breaks, but it is truly horrifying. Truly horrifying. And of course, there's a line of people that would take this work in Nairobi. But it's sad. It's sad. Because Facebook clearly has much more money than they need, and these wages are truly atrocious. So are there such things as information sweatshops? You betcha. Moving right along, Vox.com article, Apple broke Facebook's ad machine. Who's going to fix it? Facebook built one of the most amazing money machines the world has ever seen, and then Apple threw a wrench in the gears. It's estimated that that Facebook has lost $10 million in ad revenue because Apple gave its users a prompt, are you interested in sharing your data with Facebook? It was a simple yes or no. They said no. Facebook loses a ton of data. That's one of the narratives. And so Facebook's parent company Meta, delivered an alarming earnings report, according to the article to Wall Street, that cut an astonishing $250 billion out of the company's value in a single day. This was a 26% drop that we covered on the show. A lot of folks are saying that the metaverse is simply going to be a fantasy. But ultimately, and Frances Haugen's whistleblower testimony and all of the criticism that Facebook has been enduring over the past few years isn't helping. That being said, I do believe the largest hit to their bottom line was from Apple making that change. The article continues. Facebook is still making an enormous amount of money from advertising, generating approximately $129 billion in ad revenue in 2022. But that means that they will only grow 12% this year compared to a 36% increase. And so there you have it. Okay. Apple and other giant providers are looking for what's best for their clients, for their customers. They're not interested in just sharing their customers' data so easily with the likes of Facebook. It doesn't seem like they're competitors, like Apple and Facebook are competitors, but in a way they are, because Apple doesn't have Facebook's interest in mind, clearly. Facebook says it's working on a fix to make things better for advertisers in the near term via a, quote, aggregated event measurement workaround. According to the article, in plain English means that while it won't be able to tell advertisers which individual users clicked on a link or downloaded an app after seeing an ad, it can tell them what a larger group did. Interesting. This is what Google Analytics did back in the day. We used to be able to tell when a user clicked on a keyword. We would know those keywords, and then it just became aggregate data over time. It's pretty frustrating as an advertiser, but I understand the privacy concerns. Moving along, Twitter readying communities updates, upcoming article editor function on the way from 9to5mac.com. Twitter rolled out a communities feature to all of its users. The company is now working on more ways to improve this function and make it better for everyone. So there are a number of options for communities. There's an open option, a restricted option, and allow members to issue invitations option. Communities are a big deal on all social platforms. TikTok, I don't believe, has them. Reddit is completely based on them. And Facebook has groups, etc. But now here comes Twitter. This upcoming Twitter article editor will have some basic styles for text, such as bold code, italic, strike through, blah, 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 blah. Basically, there's going to be a way to kind of gather on Twitter. So Twitter communities, if you're interested in that sort of thing. And our final article of the day, we're talking about a new TikTok live trend that is all over the platform. It's basically simulating sex, okay? And the issue with it is, as people are scrolling through, this happens to me all the time, I don't watch lives on TikTok, and yet they are constantly in my feed. There's nothing I can do to get them out of my feed, and now what's happening is folks that are not consenting to view sexual content are now seeing these simulated sex lives that they obviously don't want to see, and it can be quite jarring. One of the famous folks on TikTok did a video where she says, "Is anyone else seeing this?" And it got 774,000 likes, and so it just goes to show that a lot of folks are witnessing these things. Also, 25% of TikTok users are ages 10 to 19, so it's wildly inappropriate. The majority of its users are adults. People should be aware of that. But that being said, it just goes to show that TikTok and the likes, these algorithms, they struggle to understand what they're looking at. And then, of course, I think the reason these are going viral and people are seeing them is obviously people are going to the lives and they're going, what the heck is this? They're spending time on it, and the algorithm then takes over. This is reminiscent of what I've been saying recently, where Google My Business algorithm is driving me crazy because we can tell the people at Google that there's an issue. They can agree with us, and they still can't do anything about it, because at the end of the day, it's the machine learning that is determining whether a listing goes up or down. In the same way, we are seeing these algorithms determine what content is being shown. It is not easy for TikTok to simply go in and change a couple lines of code, and all of a sudden the algorithm is going to not show this kind of content. It's much easier to see what's going live and to manually take it down, and then perhaps enter that data into the machine learning algorithm so that it can learn over time. But it's very different than what it used to be. So let's summarize the news of the day. Yes, there are information sweatshops. It is not surprising at all. This is just human nature doing what it does, which is to say that, the exploitation of poor people for the dirtiest, most mental illness inducing work continues, right? And so not surprising at all, and sad. And so when it comes to how these companies get away with it, they use subsidiaries. They use third-party companies like Sama, and they say, oh, we just hired them, we don't know, and they wash their hands, and they say, and then these companies can just disappear because, again, everyone knows Facebook. Nobody cares about Sama, if I'm even pronouncing it right. Do you see what I'm saying? It's the easiest thing in the world just to shut it down, start another one, shut it down, start another one. You can get these contracts going, and then it becomes difficult for journalists and folks that are protesting these sorts of situations. For those of you who are saying, yeah, well, they are actually putting money into that local economy, the amount of work is just insane. I mean, what they're being paid for this work is insane. It's so ridiculously low, given Facebook's profits, that it's just unacceptable. If Facebook is serious about improving their algorithm, they should pay. They should pay living wages, growing wages. You can make much more of an argument that the work itself, if the work must be done, it doesn't need to be done, obviously. But if you want to make that argument that it must be done, then you should be paying much, much more than that. The fact that you can get away with paying less is not good enough, because you are not helping the infrastructure of that country. You are hurting its citizens. It wouldn't surprise me at all if the people with these sorts of jobs ended up years down the line, involved in all sorts of difficult and challenging things because of the fact that they sat there and they looked at this garbage day in and day out. Facebook's ad machine is broken. Well, Apple did that. They're going to have to figure it out. Apple and Facebook are not playing nicely. There's something called Twitter communities that you may want to check out if you're into that sort of thing, if you're a Twitter head. And last but not least, the algorithms are determining what we see, not the people. The people build the algorithms, and then it wildly gets out of control pretty quickly, as evidenced by these simulated sex videos on TikTok, which TikTok clearly doesn't want on their platform, but they are somewhat helpless in the short term to solve it. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the show for today. Thank you for swinging on by. If you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, and you made it to the end of the show, thank you so much. Let me know that you made it this far. Please, youtube.com/senditrising. I would love to hear from you. That's youtube.com/senditrising. Check us out on TikTok and Instagram. I'm doing all sorts of fun reels. Appreciate your time. Hope you have a wonderful day. Bye for now.